Grant Kinsey is a shining star in this year's exceptionally talented senior class. His college counselor, Roland Allen, describes Grant as articulate, tenacious, and bright with a genuine passion for academics. In fact, last year, Grant reached the highest level of study in every discipline as a junior and was one of the only 8 juniors inducted into the Cum Laude Society. By the time Grant graduates this June, he will have exhausted the highest levels of our St. Margaret's upper school curriculum. Grant is a scholar athlete. When he came to St. Margaret's in the 9th grade, Grant joined the cross-country team, and for the past 4 years, he's enjoyed the camaraderie of his teammates and has brought his strong work ethic and perseverance to the track. Grant has a special interest in Chinese language. In his quest for proficiency, he enrolled in a full immersion program affiliated with Middlebury College the summer after his sophomore year. By the time he returned to St. Margaret's, Grant had skipped a full grade level in Chinese and enrolled in AP Chinese Language and Culture. He subsequently earned a 5 when he sat for the AP exam in the Chinese language. Grant is warm, humble, and kind-hearted, and has gained respect and admiration of his teachers and peers. He is certainly a star that shines brightly in the tartan sky. It is my pleasure to introduce Grant Patrick Kinsey.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you to Mr. Mosley for that introduction. I wanted to start off today by telling a bit of a story. Like all plants, the Chinese bamboo tree requires lots of attentive care to grow. However, even with the perfect confluence of sunlight, water, and nutrients, the tree shows no outward signs of growth in its first year of life. In the second year, this continues, with still no growth visible. The third and fourth years, still nothing. Just as our hope in the tree begins to wear thin, just as our willingness to continue caring for it begins to dwindle, the bamboo tree shoots up 80 feet in just 6 weeks. While this massive growth spurt may seem miraculous, it's really the product of years of nurturing care, fostering the development of a strong foundation. The tree's underground root system that grows over the course of the first 4 years is indispensably necessary in order for the potential for growth in its 5th year to be realized. After first having encountered this story in an article I read, I was again reminded of the Chinese bamboo while studying for the AP Chinese exam this past spring. As the days began dwindling down to the May test date, I found myself overcome with nerves at the daunting thought of what the College Board would have in store for me. Much to my chagrin, I realized that it would be impossible to attempt to cram learning an entire language into one weekend, as I ill-advisedly had attempted to do with the entire history of the United States, among some other APs. Instead, I would have to rely on the years of impassioned work I had put into studying the Chinese language. My time spent learning Chinese up to that point had truly been a labor of love. Before entering St. Margaret's as a freshman, I failed the test to place into level 2, and failed it quite miserably for that matter. Having discovered a budding passion for language, and Chinese in particular, in middle school, I was adamant about being in Chinese too, and thus spent a sizable chunk of the summer cozied up with my integrated Chinese textbook. Once I made my way into the class, I quickly found my place in the welcoming learning environment of Mrs. Shu's classroom, and I relished the challenge of studying one of the most difficult languages out there. Whereas I dragged my feet in completing assignments for some of my other classes, I saw each piece of Chinese homework and daily character quiz as an opportunity to expand my grasp of the language and to press forward in my journey towards fluency. After getting a couple more years of language study under my belt, I decided to spend the summer before my junior year at a Chinese immersion program at Middlebury College. I know 4 weeks in rural Vermont with no English whatsoever and no cell phone probably doesn't sound like the ideal way to spend a summer. And admittedly, my commitment to this self-imposed endeavor was tested day in and day out. However, even in the most difficult of moments when I found myself frustrated at being unable to get my point across, I still felt genuine enthusiasm about what I was learning in the formal setting of my classes, and more prevalently in the comprehensive immersion environment that followed me around the clock from the dining halls to my dorm room. In light of all this passionate work I had put into my study of Chinese, I realized while preparing for the AP in the spring of my junior year that I would rise to the occasion of the test. Like the prolonged period of nurturing care that's needed for the bamboo tree to grow, I knew that my spirit of excellence in my language study had positioned me for success in a powerful way that no pre-AP cram session could. More importantly, I came to the realization that my years-long process of learning Chinese couldn't nearly be encapsulated in a score from 1 to 5 earned on a random May afternoon. Just like the bamboo tree's integral foundational growth underground during its first 4 years, my study of Chinese was a meaningful journey in and of itself, and certainly not just a means to a measurable end. While it was nice to have represented myself and my abilities well on the AP exam, and it's nice to see the near instantaneous 80 feet growth of the bamboo tree, I think focusing on metrics like these undercuts the far more meaningful behind-the-scenes process of tending to a goal you truly believe in. Like the nutrients required for the bamboo tree to ultimately skyrocket upwards, I think the love of learning that characterizes us as St. Margaret students is at work solidifying a foundation of intellectual curiosity and academic prowess within all of us. Amidst all the focus on our futures, I'd urge you all to really recognize the forum at our fingertips here at St. Margaret's for the exploration of our interests and to embrace this 4-year period of foundational growth. Even when it's difficult to see or quantify the results of dedication to your studies, your extracurricular endeavors, or your well-being as a person, be confident in the intrinsic value in the process of bettering yourself, and know that reward is imminently coming to the tune of 80 feet of growth in a mere 6 weeks. Thank you.